We invite students, children, families, and the public to view these century-old works, use them as catalysts to instill pride of heritage and awareness of an effective cultural system that is based on unity and personal and collective responsibility in order to build complementary relationships.
An exhibit of authentic and rare carved wood sculptures from Western and Central Africa, celebrating the majesty of African motherhood. Good morning, I'm Eleanor Jean Hindley, and that extraordinary exhibit is from the private collection of two men, one of whom joins me this hour, Philadelphia's own David Laurence. David, nice to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's an extraordinary theme, believe me. In fact, you brought some of the wonderful pieces here, so let's start on the end and tell us about that piece.
That's from the Sanufu culture of Ivory Coast, and that's a maternity figure representing an older woman who is raising a child and breastfeeding the child. The tall one is from the Suku culture of the Central Africa, and this is a family figure where the mother is holding three children and she's embracing them and nurturing them.
Now, of course, at the Free Library you have dozens of pieces on exhibit, and we're looking at some of those pieces now.
I got started about 7 years ago, and basically I consider myself and our H. Bigham and Associates as a group of preservers and presenters. And our purpose was to maintain cultural ideas through this material and share those cultural ideas with our community.
There is an exhibit in Philadelphia showcasing the relationship between animals and African art.
And our own Jill Horner takes us there for more. Herman, as the curator of this exhibit, you've put together over 80 different objects. Tell us a little bit about how you did this and some of the themes that we're seeing.
Okay, it was a cooperative effort. There's a group of us called H. Bigham and Associates, and for 6 years we've been developing exhibitions that have contemporary themes but use traditional African sculptural art as its mode, you can say. And we also look at those sculptures and those cultures and societies, and we try to bring forward the information that cultural material have to bring to us.
So in this instance, what is that importance of animal symbolism in these objects that we're seeing?
Well, you know, we are humans. We call it, you know, we are human, but we are animals. And we are part of nature and a part of the earth, and we need to live in harmony with the earth and with nature. It's a visual library of African culture, and the best way to really know it is to learn about African culture. When you learn about African culture, then it really introduces you and gives you access to African cultural art and what it's expressing. Traditional African art refers to material that comes out of cultural traditions or influenced by cultural traditions or produced because of cultural traditions. Cultural unity from ancient Kemet, known as Egypt, all the way through West and Central Africa is very strong, both in terms of the symbolism, the use of sculpture as a metaphor, and the importance of how people live and conduct themselves and how that's being maintained through sculptural form.
And quickly, Herman, I just want to ask you, because so many people would look at these objects and say, oh, that's solely art. But you're looking for a deeper meaning, not only the original purpose, but what they mean for us today.
Yes, because basically they were developed to provide a cultural memory, and so that people would know how to conduct their lives and live with each other in harmony. So it's about social order. Most of African sculpture is really about the life lessons in social order.
All right, well, thanks for giving us some lessons today, Herman.
A pleasure, and thanks for the opportunity. We do educational exhibits. All our exhibits have themes, and the themes are contemporary, have contemporary significance. Whenever this material is exposed in an environment that people feel comfortable, they radiate to it and they write the most amazing comments. And that's what fueled us.
Surely there is no better way to instill pride of heritage in Americans of African ancestry and to declare the intellectual creativity of a non-European cultural tradition to a Euro-American public. Art is the most useful and successful tool to bridge artificial divides like race and ethnicity. The work you are doing is incredibly important.
The animals have had a tremendous means of providing wisdom for people about how they should live, conduct their affairs. And that's why the symbolism is used so richly in African sculpture.
One of the really interesting things about looking at all of these objects is that they're from a wide variety of African regions, but they have so many things in common.
Yeah, another theme of the exhibit is the cultural unity of Africa. The kind of audiences we've drawn are comparable to the audiences at the Met in terms of the exposure that we have. We have incredible exposure. Also, the way we produce our exhibits has such power and quality that it leaves a long-lasting impression on the consumer. And people want to know and have been wanting to know, well, you know, how are you doing this? Who's supporting you? We have now a national, international presence. We're the only people nationally who do what we do, that is produce educational exhibits of African traditional art.
Bigham says this is an important exhibition.
What makes it important is that it's a quality representation of the work of our ancestors that provide a medium for visual education and visual context that's very relevant today for our community and for communities in general. And that's what really makes to me important. It makes it different from most exhibitions. They don't have a social context necessarily. To expand our concept and to expand our production, we're looking to develop strategic partnerships with corporations and institutions that are about providing educational materials and cultural enrichment to the broader community. We primarily like to use public venues like public libraries, airports. We recently did an exhibit at the Atlanta International Airport, probably the largest exposure of traditional African sculptural art of high quality ever to the world at one time, because that airport has 35 million people come through it.